So, in general, we're going to talk about defending option. Obviously, we don't see as much zone read than you guys do, but this is true flexible and triple option. I mean, Georgia Tech, Paul Johnson, the whole deal. So hopefully, that's what you guys were expecting. You know, earlier in that first session, I said we were a 3-4 defense. I think it's important. We had a staff come and visit us on Wednesday who lost to Somerset in the second and third round of the playoffs. And, you know, I love doing that type of stuff, but about 10 minutes in, he told me, well, we're not going to change our defensive scheme for the triple option. And I think that's a completely wrong way to look at it. I mean, it's a unique offense, so I think you have to do some things that may be a little bit different, and I know you might not have the time to put something new in, but you can still give them a different look, and I think that's the most important thing. I think that's the thing we do really well is that quarterback gets a different look almost every play. And it's not from our defensive line. We want those guys to be physical. We tell those guys all week, your one job is to kick the shit out of the guy in front of you. You know, our linebackers and our secondary will be the guys that maybe have different responsibilities each play because we want that 21-year-old kid to make a decision because most of the time it's, you know, it's not always going to be right and it could be the wrong one. So, thanks, Coach. So I think first things first, and we preach this in defense in general, but I think this is extremely important. Not to pick on anyone, do you mind telling me what that last thing says to you?
Opportunity is nowhere.
So everything is the way you look at it, right? Well, our guys would say opportunity is now here. And I think that's important, and I don't mean to pick on you, but the first day, our safety, who was an all-region kid, he said opportunity is nowhere. And I think that's important from especially against an option team to make sure your eyes are right. I mean, eyes are the key to everything, right? Defensive line play, linebacker play, safety play, offensive scheme. And eyes are important, but I think that's important. How you vision things and how you look at things. I think you guys are hoping that in your mind it's the way that you want it done, but does that guy see it the same way? Is he looking at this scheme the same way that we look at it from the booth or from on the field? When we're watching film until 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I know we draw all this stuff up on Saturdays or Friday nights or in the playoffs, are they now seeing it the same way you do? Now, I know this is base stuff, that's clinic stuff, but rule number one for us is don't go till you know. And even against an option team, besides our defense line, if our linebackers don't know, we want them just to bounce their feet and find out what's going on in the backfield. Because I think now, especially with counter option and maybe some wing T stuff that you guys are facing, we don't see that, and you get buck sweep or some type of counter crisscross. Well, if the guy makes an assumption, and we all know the old phrase, right? When you assume we make an ass out of you and me, well, you know, a play where he may think that he's supposed to do this, they come back and react to what we're doing, he makes an ass out of everyone. And obviously, you probably don't win a lot of those games. You know, and this is just something that we live by. We call it the matrix. Obviously, everyone has different terms for it, but when the bullets are flying, our guys know these simple rules. Obviously, this column doesn't pertain as much to triple option, but their gap and their option responsibility, at least in this clinic talk, our guys know that. If I ask our defensive ends who are C-gap players, he's going to tell me quarterback asterisk. Why is it quarterback asterisk? Because we tell that guy to feather that. You know, he's going to play dive to quarterback based on what he sees. I'll never ever get mad at him if he tackles the dive and the kid pulls it. Unless that's not what his responsibility is. Okay, because then I know that that kid is playing fast. And if you can play just a little bit faster than a triple option team, and I don't know many triple option teams that go really fast in the huddle. Maybe you guys see it. We don't, at least when we play Rickett College every year. But these guys know. Our A-gap players, they know their dive. They're dive the whole way. Our middle linebacker that we play at 7 yards, we'll talk about a lineman in a minute. You know, he's playing dive all the way. Now, if the quarterback pulls it and he can read that, do we want him to be an added guy? Well, yeah, because they can't account for it. Maybe now he can add in and make a play down the line or vice versa. You know, and And then D-gap for us, always going to be pitch players. And this is our corners to our safeties for what it's worth. Okay? You just go to the next slide. But option counts. And I think this is extremely important. My first ever job was at Maine Maritime Academy. Chris McKinney, he was at Springfield College when they were really, really good, playing in the Elite Eight, the Final Four, the NCAA Division III playoffs. Just an option genius. That, you know, the guy was very, very smart. My first ever job at 22 years old, though I was the D-line coach, in my eyes, I wanted to learn this because let me tell you, this is a pain in my ass. And I know it's a pain in yours. This is the worst thing to defend. And if you run it, you guys are doing a great job because let me tell you, it is the worst, at least in my eyes, being the defensive coordinator and all of our coaches. This is the worst week. This is the worst week. And I truly believe you can't prepare for this on a Monday if you're playing on Friday. You know, and I know now everyone's running option. I'm assuming in your fall camps and stuff that you guys watch, you guys are constantly talking about option play. If you're not, though, and I know there's a bunch of ways to skin a cat, but in my eyes, if you're not talking about option play from day one, I think you're doing your kids a disservice. But the perimeter count is important, and we'll show some slides, and you'll probably see a front that maybe you played against an option team. And from my experience, the guy that I learned it from, that quarterback has to look to see, the wingbacks have, the slot backs, whatever you call them, have to look to see, the perimeter wide receivers have to look to see who they're supposed to block. And it's either going to be a load or a base. And all that means now is, do I have a count of 1, 2, 3 across the center? Or do I have a count to the play side, 1, 2, 3? And I'll show you a little bit, the next slide after I explain this, what I'm talking about. But front side A-back. That's what we call him. That's what most option teams call him. You may call him something else. But he needs to always find 3. Because 3 will tell him load or base. If 3 is past the center, play side to the side they're running, it's usually a base scheme from their point of view on their blocking scheme. If he's over the center, and everything is predicated, in my opinion, on center, quarterback, and fullback. If they have 3 studs, it's going to be a long game for us, for anyone that's playing. And obviously, if you watch that Georgia Tech-Mississippi State game, or as fast as Mississippi State was, Georgia Tech did a pretty good job overall. And what they're told is this, base block number 2. Because 3 in their eyes is going to be a pitch read. He's a guy that's probably screaming down, flat foot reading, true quarters, robber safety that's just flying down, making a play. If it's low, they're going to secure the second level and then work to 3. Because 3 is now coming from across the field. And we do some different things with our safeties that I'll show you that I think helps us. But then again, I'm going to show you some clips from this year's Ripon game and from when I was at Bridgewater and we played Springfield that it didn't always work. And it's not always going to work. And then, I don't know how many of you guys play a press hard corner to this stuff. We do a little bit, especially if we're going to play man coverage, man free. Well, sometimes they may give a box call. And all that means is they're going to replace the A-back to go block that hard corner, and they're going to push crack to your safety, which really puts some serious strain on that corner if he doesn't replace that. And obviously, I don't know how you're teaching it, but in our eyes, if I'm the corner and this split end is right in front of me, if he makes any maneuver down, and we slice our corner a lot in our normal coverage to the boundary, if he makes any move, any slash release inside, he's staying square, and his eyes are going right to the backfield motion. Because we want him to disrupt it, and we have a corner crash we run. It worked. It's worked the last couple of years. I have 2 clips. One, it could have been very, very bad. Luckily, our defensive lineman got a hand up in the air. So next slide. So just a couple of things that I'm talking about. You might just turn them just a little bit. Just I don't know if you can see it or not. But in the next 2 slides, I'm assuming you guys. Maybe you don't. Maybe you play something differently. If you've got a better answer, believe me, I would love to know. And I love talking about this stuff because, like I keep saying, this stuff is a pain in the ass. But you guys probably align in something similar to this. Now, you may call these guys differently, I understand that, but your secondary, your linebackers, they're playing some type of game. Okay, we're always in a 4-3 back or out. It helps us because now our outside linebackers can play. And from an alignment standpoint, not always, but we're usually in this base look for us. Okay, we're playing 2-5 techniques, a 3 and a 2-eye. We do have some calls where we'll put a nose on it, and all that means is now he's kicking down to a 0, especially if that guy's whooping our middle linebacker's ass. If that guy's getting to him every play and cutting him, we have the ability to cap that right now and stop it. Our outside linebackers, from an alignment standpoint, this drawing's not drawn to scale, but we're going to play off the wing back 1-by-4. Play him a little bit closer. And his eyes are always on that guy. Now, if they condense the formation and play a tight end, we'll do some different things. We don't see that. luckily, but if they do, and if you have questions on that, we can definitely talk about that. But his eyes are always on that guy. That guy's going to tell him what's going on. If he's not in motion, in orbit motion like we call it, he's going to do three things. He's going to come right at you, he's going to go outside, or he's coming inside. And every read will tell him to do something differently. If he's coming right at him, he's just taking him on, outside arm and leg free, he's squeezing and he's setting an edge. A true 3-4 outside linebacker setting an edge. Okay, keeping everything inside because we got help. If he's out wide, he takes one mirror step to get wide, and he takes 2 steps down. So now he's about 2 yards, hopefully, off the ball, off the original line of scrimmage, because he's not worried about that guy. They're reading me now. I'm probably the pitch key. If he's in, it's probably some type of midline or load option, double option from their standpoint. We're going to mirror, we're just going to fit it in like it would be a fullback and ISO. We're going to fit it right in. Because most of the time, if he's inserting, they're probably reading your 3 technique, or if you play a 2 head up, I don't know how you play it. Sometimes we'll call heads and we'll rip or liz it, but from our standpoint, you're probably reading that 3 technique, and this guy's coming to insert for him. So we want to make his job really easy, and we want to stuff and blow that shit up now. Next slide, Coach. And just obviously some other things that you maybe could be lining up in, and some keys that they're going to get. And obviously, if you guys want this, if you have huddle, I'll send it to you. So, next slide. So this is number 1. This is day 1. Now, blues are quarters coverage. So these guys are constantly hearing the same message. So though our alignments might be a little bit different, when our guys, if you told my secondary, blues, they're saying quarters. They know it's quarters. We say it max because these guys are never, ever really going to help out in coverage. Okay? Just like the outside linebacker, their eyes is to the near wing. If I'm the free safety here, and that guy orbits to my left, we're switching his name, but our strong safety better be the first guy down there. And all it does when that happens, all it does is it turns into a version of cover 3, but like I said, he's never, ever really going to be in pass coverage. And, is this a crapshoot? No question. Okay, especially if you're getting post wheel, getting some other stuff. We're telling our corners this, okay, that the side to the motion, so he's going to our left, he has to midpoint 1 and 2. He's got a midpoint 1 and 2. You can do that 2 ways. You can skate it through and squeeze the sideline. So just skate it through for 3, get a little depth, about 8 to 10, depending on how much he can skate and how tall your guy is. Or he can simply weave and backpedal it through. It's very simple. And obviously he's going 60-40 on the inside to outside. So if this is post wheel, we want that guy to throw the wheel ball. That's a low percentage throw. Especially if they're going to give you all this play action stuff. And we were lucky this year. We had 2 dudes here. So even if they're going to run pop pass or play action, our nose and our tackle were whooping their ass. So it didn't really matter. And they were setting a new line of scrimmage. Any questions? No. Let's go back real quick. Our mic, like I was saying, our mic is over the center always at 7 yards. 7 yards. Now I'll show you some clips. I think I have one in here. He's at 10 yards one play. I'm okay with that. Because I know Zach is going to read everything. He's not going to go until he knows. He's going to be deep. He's going to read it. And I know, and we do a good job of this, I think. We don't practice with the ball until Thursday. So he reads it all. He's going to be able to see. He's looking. And I think from his depth, he can almost play B-gap to B-gap. It's a diamond linebacker. Your true 4-4 deal. And he's now B-gap to B-gap. He can read this. He can see things pulling. He can see back motion, counter motion, the whole deal.